18 years ago, on June 15th, 2007, the wrestling world lost a legend. She is one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time and one of the more underrated wrestlers back in the day. Sensational Sherri. She is often regarded as one of the toughest females to ever be a part of the business. And while I was never alive when she was in WWE and in WCW, uh, she wasn't Bobby Heenan great, but she was the greatest at what she did. And it was a shame that she passed when she did. And since it was her anniversary, I remembered Dark Side of the Ring did an episode on her. I think it was in season 5. And I thought, might as well go back, might as well reflect, share a little bit of memories of Sensational Sherri, and by reviewing this episode. They got a lot of people to talk in this episode, including Sherri's ex-husband, Leroy, her son, Jared, Kathy Fitzpatrick, who was her best friend, Jake the Snake Roberts, Eric Bischoff, Alundra Blaze, aka Medusa, Rockin' Robin, Jim Cornette. They got a lot of people that knew her to come out and speak about her. And there was a lot I did not know about Sensational Sherri the person and Sensational Sherri the professional wrestler. So Sensational Sherri actually started the first wrestler she was actually the first wrestler to get managed by Jim Cornette. And the reason why they got paired back in the day, it wasn't because these two would be greats in the business. It was because they were just getting in and they thought that those two would be a pairing together. And with Cornette entering the business, he decided to take her on as his client. And the booker paired them together with little experience, and they thought, might as well pair them and see what's up. And Jim Cornette had a great quote. He said that she was greener than goose and I was than goose dung, and I was worse. I mean, like, say what you want about Jim Cornette and some of the stuff he says, but that line made me chuckle a little bit. So, Sensational Sherri, she was a part of she wanted to become a professional wrestler, but she also wanted to also have a family. So this is where Leroy Gonzalez comes in. And we get a little bit of a look into Sherri's early life. They met in 1976 when she was working at a restaurant, and they clicked. Apparently, she also complained about a roach in the booth, and Leroy made a joke that hooked her, and eventually started a relationship with Sherri Martel. And eventually, they got a trailer. They were living together, and they got married. And in late 1970s, Sensational Sherri, she wanted to start a family. And they both eventually compromise. They have a son together. However, it seemed like Sensational Sherri just was not ready to be a parent. She wanted to have a family, but she just wasn't ready for it. And while Leroy was upset at the whole thing, and he even said, "You wanted a child, you got one. It's time to put on your big girl pants and take care of the child." And I find it stunning that Sherri decides to leave Leroy and her son behind to pursue a professional wrestling career. I did not know she sacrificed her family time with her son immediately. She decided to go after her wrestling dream and abandon her family, which I did not know that. She left a 3-month-old baby behind, which is ridiculous. And I kind of feel for Jared a little bit as well. He didn't ask for that. And for his mother to just leave like that is crazy. And yes, they did have a relationship together. Sherri did take Jared on the road, but it's unbelievable that she would do that to her 3-month son. So she actually wanted to get in early, but she actually met Grizzly Smith. Now, if you don't know Grizzly Smith, that's the definition of Dark Side of the Ring, because like Bret Hart would say, the dude was a pedophile. He was a legit, he loved young kids. And there's plenty. I don't want to get into that can of worms. I'll eventually review the Grizzly Smith episode, and when I do, I'm going to put a warning image on there. But to me, with Grizzly Smith and Sensational Sherri, Sherri actually went up to Grizzly when she was 16 years old, and Grizzly basically told him to come back when she was 21. And apparently, this is crazy. Grizzly apparently didn't think that she was hit like Sherri would work well because he wasn't his type. She was a bit too old for Grizzly. And when she became 21, he decided to send Sherri to Mula's to get some training. Something interesting that I didn't also know about was that, and Jake Roberts admitted it, he and Sensational Sherri actually had a fling together. Like, I did not know that they were in a romantic relationship with each other for many years. And it was clear that she was close with Jake the Snake. It was clear that she was close with Rock and Robin, and both being interviewed made sense. And I think it's crazy too that even Rock and Robin basically said that Sherri was a little old for her dad's wheelhouse. Rotten hell, Grizzly Smith. Go look up that guy, and it's crazy. So Sherri's pursuing a career. She left her kid behind, and Leroy wants her to come home to take care of the kid that they have. And Leroy was stuck raising the kid alone. And he was trying to get her to come home, which is understandable. I mean, you can't just leave a 3-month-old baby behind. That's insane. So what he decided to do is he hired a private investigator to follow her, to see what she was doing out on the road and maybe confront her. And what's crazy is that a few guys eventually figured out what Leroy was doing and basically went up to him to say, hey, leave Sherri alone. Like, she belongs to us. And that was the wake-up call for Leroy, where he decided to stop pursuing her, which is probably wise, knowing how the wrestling business is, and these guys who approached him were probably muscular. And it's crazy, that story. They did get Jared's son to be interviewed here. Jared sounds a little rough. He has there's either they say it could be cancer, something with his throat, but he does not. He sounds a little off. There's definitely some sort of medical issue that he was having in this episode, or whatever he was dealing with. I hope Jared's okay, because he is an absolute sweetheart in this episode, and I hope he's doing well. He got interviewed, and I think it's crazy to tell, because Sensational Sherri was in a bunch of drugs. The one drug, marijuana, this wasn't mentioned, but she was suspended so many times strictly for marijuana usage and eventually got fired from the company with her drug usage. But she was so drugged up, Sherri, and that Jared even admits that he doesn't have a memory of her not being sober. Think about that. Think how scary that is, that your own son doesn't remember you being sober. Scary. And he would even go on the road with her on occasion. And she basically said, if you say anything to anybody while I'm on the road, I'm going to leave you home. And he never did that. So he kept quiet. But with Sherri being hooked on drugs, it's crazy. Marijuana was prevalent with her. Like I said, she got suspended for it and even fired in 1993. The worst part about her getting fired from WWE was, and this wasn't mentioned, she was going to have a feud with Luna Vachon. Remember at WrestleMania 9, it was Tatanka and I believe it was Shawn Michaels match. During that match, Luna Vachon came out, attacked Sensational Sherri, and the eventual plan was to have Sensational Sherri and Luna have a match, but unfortunately Sherri got fired, so that didn't happen, which sucks. So when Sherri left, the only other option for her to go was WCW. And Eric Bischoff did not care about the reason why Sherri left, but he wanted to bring her into the company because he saw talent in Sherri, and he knew that he could use her to help build up other superstars. And look, say how Eric Bischoff is a complete malcontent nowadays, but you could tell that when he is on his game and he's positive, he'll help you out. He will. But Sherri was brought in. She originally, he couldn't believe they let her go, and when she became a free agent, he decided to pick her up when she was done with her tenure in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And the thing that's perfect with her as well is that Sherri would then go on to be the manager of Harlem Heat. And this is, of course, Booker T and Stevie Ray. And like she didn't do too well outside of the ring. Inside, she was in her mojo. She was doing well, helping out Booker T and Stevie Ray, but she was clearly like her mind was not in the right frame, and along with her drug usage, it was crazy. Even Medusa said in the documentary that Sherri was more lost and uncertain during her time at the company, and even Sherri would beg forgiveness during her WCW days when she was working there, which is sad. Eventually, like the drugs were out of control. She would show up high as heck everywhere. They released her in 1997. She couldn't perform on the camera, and just I remembered rewatching Sensational Sherri during that time in WCW. I loved her in Harlem Heat, but she was obviously on something, and it's sad seeing her in this type of way. It really is, and her working shows high on narcotics, and it was only a matter of time before she eventually got fired. But the thing with Medusa, she says the quote here that she was mad because it should have happened with the other men that were abusing drugs at the time, but they let Sherri go because she was the scapegoat. And I agree with her. Like anyone who shows up high or drunk at their job should be fired. And they get way too many chances at the time. And what's crazy too is that WCW, and this wasn't mentioned either, they had the bright idea to bring her back in 2000, and her drug problems got worse and worse and worse. And then she got hooked on oxycodone, and even when she was doing independent shows and independent bookings, she was so unreliable that the independent bookings dried up. And with Martel, she had to go back into normal life as a result, and she didn't handle it too well. Martel's career was long over. She was out of the spotlight. She actually even married a guy who was not even a celebrity. He was just a normal guy. But it could have been an opportunity for her to rebuild her life, but it just didn't happen. She couldn't maintain the normal day-to-day life while she was, and she also missed professional wrestling so much. And the thing that's crazy too is that from all of these stories that I've heard, like with this Robert guy that she dated, uh, the guy who wasn't a celebrity, the normal person, nobody liked him. Like Leroy didn't like him. Jerry, who's again Sherri's son, wasn't a fan of him. And Robert was apparently trying to put a deeper wedge between her and the original family, which I don't understand why anyone would want to do that. But it's just sad with what happened. And the last time Jared ever saw Sensational Sherri alive was during the Hall of Fame 2006 induction. Uh, well, it was around that time because she finally got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and her being alive, getting that induction was just awesome. But it was the last time Jared saw his mother alive, which is just sad. He never got the opportunity to spend more time with her after, the Hall of Fame. It just sucks that she passed away a year afterwards. And according to her friend Kathy, Sherri was about to be brought in as a coach and trainer for WWE. They were going to pay for her back surgery. Sherri had a bad back with all the bumps she was taking back in the day, and they were going to pay for her back surgery, and they were going to get her on the WWE payroll. That is awesome. However, with all her drug issues, and she was still hooked on a ton of drugs as well, I don't know if that would have lasted too long. I mean, we'll never know for sure, but then again, this is the same company that kept hiring people like Marty Jannetty and the Iron Sheik multiple times with their drug issues. So never say never how this could have been this could have lasted for her in WWE as a trainer, but it's just sad, man. Like it really is. And here's another thing that I find crazy too. They get to her funeral. A majority of the people that showed up on her funeral, because Sherri passed in 2007 due to the drug overdose, and it was actually she passed on the porch of where her mother's house was. The thing that's crazy too was that everyone who showed up at that funeral, a majority of them, were all coked up on drugs, which is so sad that everyone who showed up was on coke. Uh, Even Jake the Snake Roberts, who showed up at the funeral, because remember, they had a fling with each other. Uh, he drove to Alabama to pay his respects, and he was just an emotional wreck. Jake was like, "How dare you leave me behind?" It was one of his low points, and it's clear that Jake misses Sherri a lot in this. And with how Jake was at that funeral and how he is today, DDP is a saint. It's a miracle he's still alive today, and I'm happy for it. Something that wasn't mentioned in the documentary was that it's not like a week later was when the Chris Benoit murder-suicide happened. This was when Chris Benoit killed his wife, his son Daniel, and then himself. At the time, with that whole stuff happening, she passed a week earlier, and there were a lot of conspiracy theories that were thrown out about her death. Certain news anchors that were going after the WWE, including Nancy Grace, another piece of work. She basically, like, go look her up. They would use conspiracy theories about Sensational Sherri's death as a plot against professional wrestling. And it's just sad. It really is just sad. But the one thing that's great is Jared's son at the end of the documentary. He straight up says that he forgives his mother for everything she did, even when leaving him when he was 3 months old. He's still upset that she left, but it was emotional reading the letters that his mom had written for him. Jared called his dad a great provider, and his stepmom was basically Sherri's tag team partner, which I thought was really cool. And we got to see Jared's stepmother, and it was really emotional. Sherri is her mom, and I'm glad that Jared can forgive her, because with all the stuff she did, it's understandable for if she decided not to forgive her. That's the Dark Side of the Ring episode. I think the thing that comes across, not only with the son being awesome, but I just couldn't believe she left a 3-month-old baby behind. Her work in professional wrestling was just awesome. But she got hooked on all the drugs, and it was to mask her the pain that she was having, the back issues. Back issues are no joke, and absolutely those pills were to help that. I wish her work would got more recognized. I do want. It's another what if with Sherri, if she ever got that training role. And with how great she was, I kind of wish that the remember when the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal was going to be at WrestleMania before they had to switch the name because the Fabulous Moolah turned out to be not so fabulous. I wanted them to rename that like the Sensational Invitational, like in honor of Sherri Martel. I don't know why they didn't do it. They just renamed it the Women's Battle Royal, so it sucks that they didn't honor her. But she's the greatest female manager of all time. I wish I was alive to have seen her perform in person. It's just a shame what happened to her. With Sherri Martel, I loved her and the Macho Man together. I just thought their pairing was so great. And with how professional wrestling is today, and now it's more physical with women's wrestling, I always wonder what Sherri Martel would have looked like nowadays when she was performing now than back in the day. And with her being so tough as the boys, I think she would have had a great career. But it's unfortunate what happened to her. That concludes my Dark Side of the Ring episode on Sherri Martel. Rest in peace, Sherri. Again, it's a solid watch. It's a little tough, especially as it gets emotional when Jared, Sherri's son, is speaking. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I plan to do more Dark Side of the Ring reviews on previous episodes and previous seasons. I've done a bunch for season 6 already. If you like this video, I hope what episode do you want me to record next. Please do me a favor, everyone. Like, subscribe, hit the bell down below. Check out other Stadium Rant Pro Wrestling content, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. Acknowledge us.